Imagine being trapped in a dark, cramped cell for months on end, your body racked with pain from repeated torture sessions. This was the reality for many American soldiers captured by the Vietcong. In the next few minutes, you'll discover the untold story of these POWs, their struggles, their resilience, and the lasting impact of their captivity. Prepare to have your perception of the Vietnam War challenged. The brutal reality of Vietcong captivity. As the helicopter's rotors faded into silence, the young soldier's heart raced with the terrifying realization that his worst nightmare had begun. The dense jungle canopy above seemed to close in, trapping him in a world far removed from the safety he once knew. This was the moment when the stark contrast between American soldiers' expectations and the harsh reality of Vietcong captivity became painfully clear. In the first days of captivity, the soldiers were thrust into a hellish introduction to a new world of pain and fear. The Geneva Convention, once a beacon of hope for captured servicemen, held no sway in these remote jungles. The Vietcong's disregard for international law quickly became apparent as the prisoners faced increasingly brutal treatment. The psychological warfare began almost immediately. Sleep deprivation, isolation, and constant uncertainty became the norm for these captured soldiers. They were kept in tiny, dark, ill-ventilated cells for extended periods, leading to severe mental and physical suffering. The isolation was not just a physical separation from their comrades, but a deliberate tactic to break their spirits and resistance. As days turned into weeks, the physical torment intensified. The Vietcong employed a variety of cruel methods to extract information and break the will of their captives. One particularly brutal technique involved binding the POW's arms and legs with tight ropes, causing excruciating pain and often resulting in dislocations. Some prisoners were left in iron footstocks for extended periods, their bodies contorted in agonizing positions. The breaking point came for many as the torture escalated. Extreme beatings were commonplace, often resulting in death. The psychological impact of this constant physical abuse was immense. Many POWs learned that providing any answer, even false, could temporarily end their pain. This realization led to overwhelming feelings of guilt and psychological distress as they grappled with a choice between temporary relief and betraying their country. Yet, amidst this hell, some soldiers found unexpected resilience. They developed coping mechanisms, formed secret communication networks, and supported each other through the darkest moments. This strength was put to the test in July 1966, when 52 POWs were forced to march through the streets of Hanoi. An angry crowd attacked them, resulting in injuries to nearly every prisoner involved. Despite the physical and emotional toll, many of these men refused to break, drawing on an inner strength they never knew they possessed. The looming threat of permanent physical and mental damage hung over the prisoners like a dark cloud. The unsanitary conditions in which they were kept promoted disease, with infestations of rats and insects exacerbating their suffering. Their diet was deliberately inadequate, consisting mostly of sparse servings of vegetable soup, stale bread or rice, and occasionally spoiled meat. This malnutrition led to various health issues, including debilitating skin sores. But perhaps the most shocking aspect of Vietcong captivity was the constant indoctrination attempts. Radio Hanoi broadcasts and lectures during torture sessions bombarded the prisoners with propaganda. However, despite their physical weakness, most POWs managed to disregard these efforts, clinging to their loyalty and beliefs even in the face of unimaginable suffering. The true extent of the Vietcong's brutality was revealed in May 1969 when a daring escape attempt led to a period of unimaginable retaliation. Many POWs were tortured for information, with some subjected to extreme measures like being hung upside down and shocked with a car battery. This event pushed the prisoners to the brink of despair, testing their resilience to its absolute limit. Life in the Hanoi Hilton, a prison of despair. As the iron gates of Hualo prison creaked open, a world of suffering beyond imagination unfolded before the eyes of the American POWs. This infamous complex, sardonically nicknamed the Hanoi Hilton by its inmates, would become a crucible of human endurance, testing the limits of physical and mental resilience. The reputation of Hualo prison preceded it, whispered in hushed tones among the captured soldiers. It was a place where hope came to die, where the strongest spirits were systematically broken down through a relentless campaign of cruelty and psychological manipulation. As the new arrivals shuffled through the gates, they couldn't have fathomed the depths of despair that awaited them within those unforgiving walls. Life inside the Hanoi Hilton was a constant battle between maintaining hope and succumbing to despair. Each day brought new challenges, new horrors, and new reasons to give up. The prisoners faced a grim routine of deprivation, humiliation, and torment. Meager rations barely sustained life, let alone provided the strength needed to resist their captors' demands. Unsanitary conditions bred disease and despair in equal measure, with infestations of vermin adding to the prisoners' misery. Perhaps the most insidious aspect of life in Hualo was the use of solitary confinement as a weapon. Prisoners who resisted commands or refused to participate in propaganda activities found themselves isolated for months on end. This prolonged sensory deprivation pushed many to the brink of madness, their minds turning inward in the absence of human contact or stimulation. Yet, even in this hellish environment, the power of human connection proved to be a lifeline for many. The prisoners developed covert methods of communication, tapping out messages on walls, leaving hidden notes, or using subtle hand signals. These secret networks allowed them to share information, offer support, and maintain a sense of unity in the face of their captors' attempts to isolate and divide them. The psychological toll of captivity was further exacerbated by the constant pressure to betray their comrades and country. The Vietcong employed a calculated strategy of forced confessions and propaganda, compelling prisoners to make statements against their will. Each capitulation, no matter how small, ate away at the soldiers' sense of honor and self-worth, leaving deep emotional scars that would linger long after their physical wounds had healed. Medical neglect was rampant within the walls of Hualo, with devastating consequences for the prisoners. Injuries sustained during capture or torture were left untreated, leading to infections, chronic pain, and long-term disabilities. Skin diseases ran rampant due to the unsanitary conditions and inadequate nutrition. The lack of proper medical care turned even minor ailments into life-threatening ordeals, and many prisoners succumbed to illnesses that would have been easily treatable under normal circumstances. As the years of captivity dragged on, a growing sense of desperation took hold. The outside world seemed to fade away, replaced by the grim reality of life within Hualo's walls. Prisoners marked the passage of time by the changing seasons, the arrival of new captives, or the disappearance of those who couldn't endure. The uncertainty of their fate weighed heavily on their minds, with no way of knowing if they would ever see their homes and loved ones again. The true horrors of life inside the Hanoi Hilton were gradually exposed to the world, revealing a level of brutality that shocked even the most hardened observers. Stories of prisoners subjected to months of solitary confinement, denied basic medical care, and forced to endure psychological torment painted a picture of systematic cruelty that defied comprehension. Breaking the mind, Vietcong psychological warfare. In the depths of their cells, American POWs faced an enemy more insidious than physical pain, their own minds. The Vietcong, with a sophisticated understanding of psychological manipulation, employed tactics that gradually eroded the prisoner's identity and will. These carefully crafted techniques went beyond mere physical torture, targeting the very essence of the human psyche. Isolation emerged as a powerful weapon in the Vietcong psychological arsenal. The devastating effects of solitary confinement on the human mind became painfully clear as prisoners endured extended periods of complete seclusion. Air Force Colonel Robbie Risner's harrowing experience stands as a testament to the crushing weight of isolation. For 10 consecutive months, Risner found himself confined to a tiny, dark, and poorly ventilated cell. The prolonged separation from human contact took a severe toll on his mental health, pushing him to the brink of sanity. The Vietcong weaponized uncertainty, keeping prisoners in a constant state of fear and anxiety. The unpredictability of their treatment left POWs unable to anticipate what horrors might await them from one moment to the next. This perpetual state of alertness wore down their mental defenses, making them increasingly vulnerable to manipulation and coercion. Perhaps one of the most psychologically devastating tactics employed by the Vietcong was the use of forced betrayals. Prisoners often faced gut-wrenching choices: save themselves or betray their comrades. These impossible decisions eroded their sense of identity and moral integrity, leaving deep psychological scars that would persist long after their physical wounds had healed. As the days turned into weeks and weeks into months, the battle for sanity became as crucial as the fight for physical survival. POWs developed various coping mechanisms to maintain their mental health in the face of relentless psychological torture. Some created intricate mental escape routes, constructing elaborate fantasies, or recalling memories in vivid detail to temporarily transport themselves away from their grim reality. Others found solace in the camaraderie of their fellow prisoners. Despite the risk of severe punishment, POWs devised ingenious ways to communicate with each other, tapping on walls or using secret hand signals. These connections, however tenuous, provided a lifeline of hope and a reminder of their shared humanity in the face of overwhelming despair. The psychological impact of prolonged captivity proved to be profound and far-reaching. Many POWs experienced severe long-term effects, including post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. The constant threat of torture, coupled with the unpredictability of their treatment, left an indelible mark on their psyche. Even years after their release, survivors found themselves grappling with the lingering effects of their ordeal. The insidious nature of psychological torture extended beyond mental health issues. Many survivors developed chronic physical health problems, stemming from the psychological and physical abuse endured during captivity. The intricate connection between mind and body became painfully apparent as the toll of their experiences manifested in various ailments long after their return home. The Vietcong's use of psychological warfare revealed a chilling understanding of human psychology. By systematically breaking down the prisoners' sense of self, identity, and connection to others, they sought to create compliant captives who would serve their propaganda purposes. The long-term consequences of these tactics continue to affect survivors and their families, decades after the war's end. The scars of Vietcong captivity continue to haunt survivors, decades after their release. These forgotten heroes of the Vietnam War carry not only physical wounds, but deep psychological trauma that shapes their lives to this day. Recent advancements in psychological therapies offer hope for those still grappling with the long-term effects of their ordeal. Organizations like the National League of Families of American Prisoners and Missing in Southeast Asia work tirelessly to advocate for POW MIA issues and provide crucial support for families affected by the war's legacy. As we reflect on the sacrifices made by these brave men, it's imperative that we remember their stories and honor their resilience. The experiences of Vietnam War POWs serve as a stark reminder of the human cost of conflict and the enduring impact of wartime trauma. By learning more about their experiences and supporting organizations dedicated to their care, we can ensure that their sacrifices are not forgotten and that they receive the support they deserve. The struggle for these veterans continues long after the war's end, and it's our duty to stand by them in their ongoing battle for healing and recognition.